Good evening, everyone. I'm Dinesh from CSE department, and in today's session, we are going to look at string class and string buffer class in Java. In the previous sessions, we have mainly seen about three keywords. Not in the previous session, in the last previous couple of sessions, we have seen about mainly three keywords: this keyword, super keyword, and final keyword. So this is a keyword which is used to refer the current class object. Super is a keyword which is used to invoke the superclass variables or methods or constructors. And final is a keyword which is used to make the variables as constant, prevent the method overriding, prevent the class inheritance. And in today's session, we are going to look at string class and string buffer class. So in C programming language, while we are dealing with the strings, a string is called a collection of characters, or we can call it as an character array. So in C, character array is used to define a string, but in Java, in order to create a string, we need to create an object for string class, or we can simply use string space variable name equal to some string, right? I will show it in the program, don't worry. So here, let us see the things point by point. So strings which are widely used in Java programming, or a sequence of characters in Java programming language. Strings are treated as objects. So strings are widely used in Java, and the definition of a string is a sequence of characters. A sequence of characters is called as a string, and in Java, strings are treated as objects. And next one, the Java platform provides the string class to create and manipulate strings. So here in Java, we can create the strings and we can manipulate the strings. Let us see how we can create the strings in Java. The most direct way to create the string is string space, some variable name equal to some string. For example, hello world is a string. I want to store hello world inside greeting, where greeting is a variable which is of type string. I will show it in the programming window so that it will be very clear. Just a second. Close all the tabs and then right. So now take a new file, new Java file, and let us start working here. So we are dealing with strings and we are dealing with string buffer class. So I am defining this class name as SB, right? So inside this one, I'm going to delete the system.out.println statement. So let us see the first way. The first and direct way in order to define a string is, one second. The first and direct way in order to define a string is string space, some S equal to computer science and engineering. Computer science and engineering. So this is the first way in order to create a string by using string class, right? So let us see the second thing. Now, if I want to print the string on the output screen, I can use system.out.println, s, right? Save the code. I need to save the code as sb.java because the class name is sb, and then just compile the code. There are no errors. Now run the code. So it is printing string It is printing S, where S consists of computer science and engineering. So this is the first way and the direct way in order to create strings in Java. And keep one more thing in your mind. String is not a data type, it is a class. Whenever I say class, this HS should be capital. So string is a class in Java, right? So if I want to define an integer variable, simply I use int space a equal to 10, which means integer is a data type. So I will be capital, right? Whereas in case of string, string is a class name, then S should be capital. Sorry, in case of integer, integer is a data type, so we can use small I. But in case of string, string is a class name, so we have to use capital S, right? Now, so this is the first way of creating strings. Now let us look at the second way of how strings can be created in Java. Right? The second way was not mentioned here, so I will show it in the program. No worry. Now there are some methods which can be used along with the strings, right? Which can be used along with the strings. By using these methods, we can see something like, for example, the first method, int length. This length method is used to find the length of the given string. For example, if there are 100 characters, then it will return 100, right? So let us see how this length method can be worked here, right? We have printed the string here. Now what I want to do is I want to print system.out.println s dot s dot length, which means s is a string. Just a second. S is a string, and we want to find that length of the string, and we want to print the length of the string on the output screen. Just save the code, compile the code, and now run the code. So here the output of this code is computer science and engineering and 32, which means the total characters inside computer science and engineering is 32. Computer is 8, science is 7, 8 plus 7, 15, and is 3, 15 plus 3, 18, and engineering. So EN 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So total 18 plus 11, 29, and there are 3 spaces. Between computer and science, there is 1 space. Between science and there is another space. And between and E, there is 1 more space. So 29 plus 3 spaces, total 32. Even space is also called as a null character. Not space is also counted as a character here. So total, the length of the given string is 32, right? So this is how we can find the length of the given string by using length method. And next one, character at index. So if I want to print some character at some index, for example, if we are seeing this string, if we are seeing this string, this C will be at 0 index, right? And O will be at first index, right? And M will be at second index, and so on. So if I want to print one character at 10th index, if I want to print one character at the 10th index, I can use this method, right? I can use this method, and the name of the method is something called as character at. Let us see how this method will work, right? S dot char at. So S dot char at 10th position. Let's save the code, compile the code, and now run the code. So if you see inside computer science and engineering, the length is 32 and it has printed C also. So let us see whether how this C is printed. So this one is index number 0, index number 1, index number 2, index number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it is 10th index. That is why when I say character at 10, it is printing C. Let us see what it will print in case of 12. So this is 10, C is 10, I is 11, and E is 12. Let us see whether it will print E on the output screen or not. So it is printing E. It is printing the character at 12th index, right? And then string concat. String concat in the sense this method is used to concatenate, which means this method is used to add two strings. If I want to add two strings, I can use this string concat method. For example, computer science and engineering is one string, right? And electronics and communication engineering is another string. If I want to concatenate both these strings, I can use this string concat method, right? String concat method, which will add these two strings and display the output. Next one, string substring. So if I want to get some part of the string, I can use this substring. So let us see how this substring will work, right? S dot substring. For example, I want to get the substring from something called as 9th index. I want to get the substring from the 9th index to the end of the given string. Saving this code. Just a second. Now, if you see, we are getting some output called as science and engineering. So here we have started at index number 9. Index number 9 in the sense, this is index number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So it has started printing the string from science and engineering because we have taken the substring of 9, right? We have taken the substring of 9. That's why it has printed. It has printed from science and engineering, right? Now, right? Let us close this output and see the next method. Next one, int compare to. So it will compare both the strings, and in case if the two strings are same, it will return true, and in case if the two strings are false, two strings are not same, it will return false. So let us see. Here, I want to match these two strings. For example, I want to match another string. S dot substring. S dot compare to right, S dot compare to S1, where I want to define one more string here, right? Where this S1 string S1, which is equal to something called as electronics and communication engineering, right? Electronics and communication engineering. So I want to compare these two strings, right? S dot compare of S1, which will compare the string S with S1. In case if these two strings matches, it will return true, right? In case if the two strings do not match, it will return a negative value. Not true, it will return, in case of, if we get a negative value, that means these two strings are not matching with each other. And in case if you get a positive value, which means these two strings match with each other. So we are getting 0, which means these two strings match with each other. So we are comparing the string S with S. If we compare the string S with S, we are getting 0. And if we compare the string S with S1, we are getting any one negative value. It is -2, which means these two strings do not match each other. Right? Next one. String to uppercase. For example, so we have computer science and engineering, which the characters are all small letters, right? Now I want to convert them all those to capital letters. So uppercase. Save the code, compile the code. Just a second. Uppercase. Yes. Compile the code. 1 second. We are getting some error at U. Just use capital U. Just a second. We are waiting. Let us verify the method again. Sorry. We have to use 2 here. We have to use 2. Sorry. 2 upper case. Now let us compile this one. We don't get any errors, and now run this one. You observe S contains computer science and engineering, and that was converted into capital computer science and engineering because we have used it to uppercase method. And similarly, if there is anything which is of in uppercase and we want to convert the uppercase string to a lowercase, we can use this to lowercase method. And next one, if you want to cut a part of a string, we can use this trim method, trim, T-R-I-M, trim method. And then if I want to replace something from the string with another, we can use this string replace method, right? So for example, in computer science and engineering, I want to replace the computer with mechanical. I can use this replace method so that it will find the computer and it will replace the computer with mechanical, right? So these are the following methods, and there are still few more methods which we cannot discuss it because of lack of time. So we need to cover a few more topics, right? So please have a look at all those methods which were available, and please practice the programs on these methods, right? Now let us see the next slide. There is one more class called as StringBuffer class, right? Keep one thing in mind. In Java, strings can be created by using the string class or by using the StringBuffer class. Till now we have seen a string class, and from now we are going to see how the strings are created by using a StringBuffer class. So the main important difference is, by using the string class, we can create strings. By using the StringBuffer class, we can create the strings. There is one important difference between string and StringBuffer class. That is mutable and immutable, right? Mutable and immutable. What do you mean by mutable and what do you mean by immutable? Mutable in the sense, the things we can change. Immutable in the sense, the things we cannot change. So if a string is created, just a second, I will show it by writing somewhere. See here, if a string is created by using string class, we cannot change the string. We cannot change the string, right? And next one, if a string is created by using StringBuffer class, we can change the string. So when we create a string by using a string class, we cannot change the string. That's why these strings are called as immutable strings. When we create a string by using StringBuffer class, we can change the strings. That is why we call these strings as mutable strings. So it is your choice whether to create a string by using a string class or to create a string by using StringBuffer class, it is your choice. If we create a string by using string class, it is mutable. We cannot change the content here. But the important thing is that, for example, it is a string which was created by using string class. The string is XYZ, right? The string is XYZ. And for example, it is at space, it is at some space A, it is at some space A, right? And if you modify that string XYZ with something called as, if you change something in the string, for example, if I change something in the string, it will be stored at a new location. It will be stored at a new location. So this is what generally happens if we create a string by using string class. And in the same case, for example, there is one string called as XYZ here. There is one string called as XYZ. And this XYZ was stored at a location called as A. So there is one string called as XYZ. And this particular XYZ was stored at a location A. And if I change any content inside the string, for example, if I have changed the string where this new string contains XY, it will not be stored in a new location. It will be updated in the same location. That's what it generally happens if we create a string in case of string buffer class. Keep these two things in your mind, very, very important. As I written in the previous point, we cannot change the string. We can change the string, but the change will not be stored in the same location. The change will be stored in a different location in case of strings which were created by using the string class. But in case, if we create a string by using StringBuffer class, if we make changes in the string, which all the changes will be done in the same memory location. That's why the StringBuffer class is mutable. We can change the strings in the same location, but the string class is immutable. We cannot change the strings in the same location. If we make a changes in the string, it will be stored in a new location. Right? Don't get confused. By using string class and StringBuffer class, we can create strings. When we create a string by using string class, and if we modify that string, the new string will be stored in a new location. We cannot change the old memory location with a new string. That is why it is called as immutable. But when we create a string by using StringBuffer class, if we make changes to the old string, the new changes will be in the same memory location. That is, we can change the content in the memory location. It is called as mutable, right? Very important difference, which will be asked in many interviews, right? What is mutable? What is immutability of the string? How the mutable strings are created in Java, and how the immutable strings are created in Java. What is the difference between string and StringBuffer class? All these are the basic interview questions on strings while we are going an interview for jobbing. Right? Now, let us see the next slide. There are some StringBuffer methods. First one is length, capacity. So length is used to find the length of the given string, and append, which is used to add another string to the existing string. Insert, if there is some string, computer science and engineering, I want to insert electronics in between computer and science, I can insert by using this insert method. So computer, electronics, science and engineering, the resultant string will be, right? So if I want to delete the string, I can use delete. If I want to delete one character inside the string, I can use delete char at. If I want to reverse the given string, I use the reverse method. If I want to replace one character in place of another character, I can use this replace method. So these following are the some of the methods which can be used along with the string buffer class, right? So let us have a look at these type of methods in our program, right? So this is the previous program, right? I am going to delete all the code of this program, all the code of this. Now let us start working with string buffer class. String buffer, I have created two strings. I have created two strings with the string buffer class, where the first string is S, which contains computer science and engineering, and the second string is S1, which consists of electronics and communication engineering. Now what I want to do is, first I want to find the length of the given string, right? Length of the given string. First I want to find the S dot length, and then I want to find the length of the second string. That is, the name of the second string is S1. Now save the code and compile the code. Just a second. So when we want to create strings by using string buffer class, use the concept string buffer space is equal to new string buffer of, use the syntax of creating an object for string buffer class. S1 equal to new string buffer of electronics and communication engineering. Now compile the code and run the code. If you observe, the length of the first string is 32 and the length of the second string is 41. So let us see what is the capacity here, what is the capacity of the first string, and what is the capacity of the second string. Save the code, compile the code, and run the code. Here the capacity is 48 and the second string's capacity is 57, which shows that we can store up to 48 characters in the string S and we can store up to 57 characters in the string S1. So that is the maximum capacity, right? It is dynamically allocated. At present, it is 48 and 57. If you add some more text, the capacity will get increased, right? And then let us have a look at the next method. And we can use the insert or delete or reverse. Let us use the reverse method here, right? S1 dot reverse. Save the code, compile the code, and run the code. So if you observe, computer science and engineering has been reversed. If I use the reverse method, let us use this reverse method for this one also, this string also. Let us use the reverse method and run the code now. If you observe, both the computer science and engineering and electronics and communication engineering has got reversed, right? So this is the beauty of the method reverse, which was used in string buffer class. Okay, and at the same time, we can replace the characters, we can delete the characters, we can delete the character at some position. For example, s dot delete char at. So delete caret. I want to delete the character which was at 15 index value. Save the code and compile the code, and you can observe here, computer science, the some E is missing at the end of science, which means it is the character which is at 15th index. So I want to delete the character at 15th index in S string. S string means computer science and engineering. In the computer science and engineering, C is the 0th index, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So E is the character which is at 15th index. So it was deleted in the output text, right? So this is how we can make use of this reverse method, delete method, or any other methods in which was under string buffer class. right? Let us see the next one. Here they are showing some differences between string class and string buffer class. The first and most important difference is that string class is immutable. I have already explained this one. Immutable in the sense, once if the memory is allocated for that string, and in case if you make any changes to that string, the new changes will be stored at different memory location, right? With the modifications will not be done in the same memory location. For example, I will go with a simple example. Your class consists of 60 number of students. If I detained 10 students, that means I am changing something in your class. And if I debarred 10 students, the next 50 students will not be in the same class. They will go for another class, or they will go for another memory, and they will store at separate memory. So if I make any changes to your class, they are storing at separate memory. So that is the thing which will happen in case of string class. And if I created your string, if I created your class of 60 students with string buffer, if I delete 10, the 50 will remains in the same memory, right? And then let us see the next difference. String is slow and consumes more memory. During the process of strings, if I created a string by using string class, it is very slow in and consumes a more memory. When you concatenation means adding of two strings. When you concat too many strings, because every time it creates a new instance, which means let us consider there are 10 strings. The first string is computer. Let us consider first string is ant, second string is bat, third string is cat, fourth string is dog, and etc., etc., etc. I want to concatenate all the strings. I want to add each and every string. So first ant will be there. I want to add bat to ant. So ant and bat will be stored at one location. If I add cat, it will be stored at another location. If I add dog, it will be stored at another location. If I add eagle, it will be stored in another location. So each and every time if I make changes to the string, it will be stored in a new instance, means new memory. It will be stored in a new memory. That's why these strings are called as immutable. They cannot be, they cannot accept the changes in the same memory location. Each and every time, if you make a change to the string, they will be stored at a different memory location. So that's why each and every time they need to have a separate instance. They need to have a separate memory. So each and every time, if we want to create memory, it will consume some time. That's why string is slow and consumes more memory. Whereas in the case of string buffer, if you concatenate hundreds and hundreds of strings, each and every time, if we add ant to bat, bat to cat, cat to eagle, eagle to dog, each and everything, all the changes will be performed in the same memory location. There is no need to create the new memory location. There is no need to copy the things from the old memory location to the new memory location. The changes will be performed in the same memory location. That is why string buffer class is a mutable class. We can perform any number of changes in the same memory location. Next one. String class overrides equals method of object class. So you can compare the contents of two strings by equals method. So there is one method called as equals. For equals method, we pass two strings, or we call equals method on one string and we pass another string. So for example, there are two strings s and s1. If I use s dot equals of s1, then s and s1 will get compared, right? Both the things will compared in case of string class, but in case of string buffer, there is no equals method. That is the major differences between string and string buffer class. And with this, I am going to close today's session. In the next session, we will start working with character class, and then we can look at something in on files. How to open a file, how to read content from the file, how to write the content into the file, how to delete the file, how to copy one content from one file's content to another file, etc. So the people who are having doubts in today's session, please make a comment in the comment box. And I really thank each and every listener of this session for being here and seeing what I am saying regarding the strings and string buffer classes. Hope you all got some knowledge regarding the string and string buffer classes. And I hope you all will practice the programs on string and string buffer and use all the methods which you are seeing on the screen, and at the same time use some more methods just browsing from the internet. Right? I really thank you for being here. And in the next session, we will meet with the character class followed by files in Java.